Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Wanted to get on here today on the Grassroots Army Podcast and share with you some hot garbage, as we like to say, and what's going on in the state of Michigan. And we're going to talk about some of the shenanigans with the voting, because us Republicans, for how long now, have been saying that our elections are integrous, right? Or not integrous, excuse me. And the Democrats run with you Republicans who are screaming from the rooftops that we want election integrity are conspiracy theorists. These are great elections. They're integrous elections, they say. And come to find out, all kinds of shenanigans are being discovered in not only the state of Michigan, but all throughout the country. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. This time, we have a Republican Party that is filing lawsuits very quickly. This time, we have social media called X, because of Elon Musk. We have a free speech platform where people are sharing these things. Remember the last election, whenever somebody would question things on anything, you would be deplatformed, you would be buried in the algorithms, you would be censored and everything else. Now we're allowing conversation to happen. People are actually sharing some things and we're able to fight back. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what our plan needs to be over the next several days to make sure that we win this thing, because that's our only option as of right now. If we lose next week, then you're going to see me get on the live afterwards and talk about some different strategies that I will be doing in my life. Okay. Because this country will be an entirely different country than what it used to be if Trump does not win. And we'll handle that at that time. All right. We're not going to worry about it. We're not going to stress out about it. We're only going to take control of what we can control right now. And that is making sure that people are voting. All right. Because what the left wants you to happen is they like to put all this stuff out on social media, these polls that are saying that Kamala's gaining momentum. That makes folks not want to vote. Having election integrity issues allows people to have the belief system that my vote does not matter, so I'm going to stay home. That's what happened in Michigan in the last election in 2020. 200,000 Republicans, not independents, 200,000 Republicans in the state of Michigan stayed home and did not vote. If they would have voted, our state would have looked entirely different right now. It would have. So we have to make sure that these folks are voting. And so your call to action is, if you haven't voted yet, vote. If you know someone, a friend, a family member, a neighbor who is conservative or maybe independent, go have conversation with them. Make sure that they show up to vote. If you need to drive them to go vote, drive them. Do your part. Reach out. We have to make sure, especially in the state of Michigan, that those 200,000 people show up and vote. That's our only option as of right now. And that's what President Trump has been saying ever since the beginning, is make it too big to rig. Make it too big to rig. You have to vote no matter what. If you think if you think that it won't count, who cares? Go vote anyways. Just make sure that you vote. All right? Because when we have, I can't believe we're having these conversations. When we have Chinese citizens voting in our elections and it counted, that is a severe problem. All right? So everything that we've been saying in the past, holy cow, it's been proven true that non-citizens are voting. Non-citizens, and it counted. Oh my gosh, right? So this is what went down. Is a University of Michigan student from China, I'm going to say it like President Trump, and not a U.S. citizen, allegedly voted early Sunday in Ann Arbor and is being charged with 2 crimes. So that's what Dana Nestle's running with right now. We're doing our part. No, you have not. This person voted registered to vote, voted, and then turned himself in, because here's what happened, I think, is he called up to get his ballot back, maybe because, holy cow, I shouldn't have done that, or, oh my goodness, I'm going to get caught, whatever that may be, because it is public knowledge. He tried to get his ballot back, and that's how he got caught. So how many other China folks voted in our election, not only in Ann Arbor, but throughout our country, illegally? This guy turned himself in basically because he called on his ballot and the clerk turned him in. And now Dana Ness was like, we're charging him. The damage has already been done. It counted. So how many others did it, unknowingly or knowingly, that is going to sway our election possibly in the state of Michigan? It's insane. See, in the business world, in normal, when we're not normal in this country right now, I'm not even going to call the United States of America normal, because for a society to allow men and women's sports and boys using girls' locker rooms and restrooms, that's not normal, folks. I don't care how much they want to normalize it. It's not normal. To allow over 10 million illegal immigrants to invade our country is not normal. It's not supposed to happen, because in old America, we would have brought the hammer down, and not only Republicans, but Democrats. Bill Clinton would be considered a hardcore Republican, not on all of his issues, but his immigration, all right, policies back in the 90s. So look, this happened. And so in normal worlds, in normal business worlds, if this catastrophic mistake is happening, just one, the person who's in charge of voting and securing our elections should be what? Held accountable. Held accountable. Jocelyn Benson should resign. And there's rumors of this woman wanting to run for governor in the next election cycle. Not on my watch, because holy cow, you couldn't even secure our elections in the state of Michigan. You have Chinese people voting. And not only that, you are not cleaning up the voter rolls, right? And we all know why she's doing it. And the Democrats have stayed quiet about it. Detroit News stays quiet about it. Crickets, we're all conspiracy theorists, right? But now something comes out. I'm going to show a clip on Kevin Rinke because I really think that he explains what happened 2 days ago. But they provided voting files, a daily ballot cast file that somebody FOIA'd. All right. Kevin's going to go into detail with that show over 545 Michigan voters that have cast 279,113 ballots from multiple locations. That's what this FOIA request revealed. And they said it was a glitch. It's a pretty bad glitch. All right. So to me, that's strike three. You got a China person voting in our elections. You're not cleaning up our voter rolls to secure our elections. And now there is a glitch. There's a glitch. You're done. You should resign. And if you want to run for any level of office, maybe your neighborhood book club you should start with, because obviously you have been a colossal failure here in the state of Michigan. And good luck carrying around those bricks in your backpack. So let's listen into what Kevin had to say yesterday. He released this video about the 114,545 Michigan voters that have cast 279,113 ballots from multiple locations.
Yesterday, I brought to a lot of folks' attention the fact that Secretary Jocelyn Benson in Michigan was allowing bad data to go unaddressed. And that bad data related to voting files. And a group that I participate with had FOIA'd the Secretary of State's office, and we review the voting files on a daily basis. And we identified that there were 114,000 registered voters that had asked for 279,000 ballots. And the way they do that is they use different addresses to ask for a ballot. In no way did I say that this was voter fraud, because these ballots haven't been cast yet. What I did say is that it is incompetence on Secretary Benson's part and her staff's part to allow those types of numbers to exist. And the data is real. There's one gentleman that had 27 different ballots from 27 different addresses. And why did it take our group to point this out to Secretary Benson? She swore an oath to all the people of Michigan to make sure that our elections are protected. And distributing 27 ballots to one individual simply because they provide 27 different addresses poses a threat. It lowers the confidence of the public. And in this case, it's the Republicans' confidence that was lowered. But remember that when Hillary Clinton objected to Trump's election, it was the Democrats whose confidence was lowered. And when Al Gore questioned it, it was the Democrats. My point is, we need solid elections, and we need government to be proactive in preventing the potential of people cheating from happening. And she failed us. And we're going to continue to monitor these files on a daily basis. We've got a FOIA request in, and these files are huge. Yesterday, we picked up that data out of 1.4 million names. So it's time consuming, it's hard work, but it's work that Secretary Benson's staff and Secretary Benson should be doing prior to a week before the election. This was avoidable. This is incompetence. This is outrageous that it wasn't corrected, and it took a third party to bring it to her attention. And by the way, she's admitted to it the way that people who get caught do, by saying, oh, you're right, there's a glitch in our program and we'll fix it. And I'm happy for that. Secretary Benson, happy to help you, happy to point it out for you, happy to be specific and do the job that you're getting paid for you and for the people of Michigan.
Mic drop. I mean, I love how Kevin talked about incompetence. That's the whole point of this, is you're failing at your job miserably. It's not one thing, a China voting in our elections and it counted. I mean, right there, you're gone, in my humble opinion. But number two, you got a glitch. And number three, you refuse to clean up the voter rolls. You're done. Resign. Do us all a favor and resign, because Democrats, which they won't, along with Republicans and independents and libertarians, I don't care who you are, U.S. citizens, that is one thing that we should truly value, is secure, integrous elections. That's what makes this country free. But when we have shenanigans, and that's a variety of different things that are happening, we won't even get into the corrupt garbage, hot garbage, corporate media that only runs with one narrative because they are an arm, a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. It's been proven. And if Trump wins, the mainstream media, it's over. They're going to have to revamp. It truly is, because they have already been shown, the curtain has been pulled. We have seen the wizard behind the curtain on what they truly are, and it's disgusting. But that's what Americans, all of us, should really be upset about, is the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, blowing it here in the state of Michigan. Truly, truly. So I want to also bring on Jonathan Lindsay, State Senator Jonathan Lindsay. He made a video that I posted yesterday. I want to share my screen here. I want to show it to you because he had some really great things to say too. So let me get you, here we go, share screen. See if it works. Starting to be the old guy with technology. Here we go. There's John. Let's see what John has to say here.
I visited a remote village along the Kunduz River in Pulikumri, Afghanistan. As part of an Army Special Forces team tasked with village stability operations, this was a relatively routine visit, not unlike hundreds of other missions we conducted during that deployment. I was the only member of my team who had learned to speak Persian Dari, the language most used in that area, so I would often engage in conversation with the Afghans. I learned a lot from them. That day, the topic was how local government decisions were being made. Local leaders were proud to explain to me how they had, in recent years, stabilized decision-making through a democratic process. Decisions that had too often been made by warlords and petty tyrants were instead being made in a representative way. They were proud of the progress they had made. They were also acutely aware that to fully benefit from a democratic decision-making process, that process needed to be well thought out and secured against those who would corrupt it. This was obvious to them. It's obvious to everyone who is serious about the topic. So they did their part and we did ours, often at great risk. In many locations around the world, United States forces have literally laid down their lives fighting for other people to have a chance at self-determination. Don't the people of the United States, the people of Michigan, deserve as much? We should not have 105% of eligible voters registered to vote in Michigan, but we do. It should not be possible for someone to simultaneously be registered under a maiden name at a location where they have not lived in decades and also be registered at their current address under their actual name. But here in Michigan, it is possible and it's happening right now. Ballots should not be able to arrive days after an election without any postmark whatsoever and still be counted, but here in Michigan, they can be. Individuals should not be able to vote without showing basic proof of who they are, but in Michigan, they can. Michigan ballots, mail ballots should not be diverted to alternate addresses without common sense safeguards, but here in Michigan, they can be. Election officials, like the Secretary of State, should not routinely violate the law, corrupt the signature verification process, and fight to kick out election watchdogs, but here in Michigan, she does. The ability for election officials to even investigate fraud should not be eliminated, but in Michigan, it all but has been. It should not be harder for good clerks to do their jobs while easier than ever for the rare bad apples to corrupt the process, but here in Michigan it is. I could go on, but hopefully you take my point. The most frustrating thing is that the glaring issues in our election laws and procedures are not an accident. Over the last 2 years, the Democrats have had complete control of Michigan's government, and they have made dozens of changes to election law. Unfortunately, many of their changes, rather than addressing real issues, have been blatant attacks on the safety and security of our elections. Now we are just over a month away from another enormously consequential election. The people of Michigan are rightly concerned. To the majority, I wish I could take you all back in time to that small village in Afghanistan. I wish I could convince you to look into the eyes of the people who did not take their democratic process for granted. I wish I could get you to believe that the immeasurable gifts given to us by our previous generations are worth preserving. I wish I could convince you that the cynical politics of trying to win elections through rigging the system is something everyone will one day regret. I'm only speaking today because it is not actually too late. The majority still has time to take action before this election to fix fundamental problems. For instance, I have a blueback of a bill on my desk today that would help ensure the identity of voters is verified when they come out to vote. It wouldn't solve all of our problems, but it would help. Many such ideas could be adopted by the Democrats, and they would have bipartisan support if they wish to make our election stronger. But time is running out. Please take action before it's too late.
Wow. Love Jonathan Lindsay, State Senator Jonathan Lindsay. And holy cow, I mean, some of the things that he was saying gave me the chills. I hope he runs for Congress one day. I mean, imagine that man in DC that's going to stand for you. Imagine someone with that caliber of integrity, Green Beret, who's willing to stand up, who has stood up for our country and fought overseas. The guy is just the full package. And I know him, I know his wife, his beautiful family, and I'm proud to call them my friends. And I hope he continues to stay in this fight and potentially run for Congress in the future, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. That's just my humble opinion. Okay. So he's spot on. Everything that I shared today is spot on. So what can you do right now? Again, you cannot stay home. Don't pick up your football or any other ball and go home and not vote. If you haven't, vote, go. Go to the polls. They're open right now in the state of Michigan and a lot of other states. Go do your early voting because that will guarantee that you get your vote in. Because on voting day, you have no idea what could happen. Your car may not start, especially if it's an electric car. Or something else with family or anything else. You might be busy, something at work. Just make sure that you vote. Let's make sure in the state of Michigan that the 200,000 people who decided not to vote shows up and votes. Because if we do that, if we overwhelm, they will get caught. That's our play right now. That's our only play. All right. Let's win. Let's take back all levels up and down the ticket. And then we can put our heels in the sand and we can start to be on the offensive after that. But if we don't show up in the vote, then shame on you. You have to show up and vote. Grab your neighbor who hasn't voted. Grab your friends. Call your family. Hey, have you voted? Making sure that they get there. Give them a ride. Call them an Uber. I do not care, but show up and vote. I can't stress that enough. I will be doing another live after the election as we analyze the results, and we will strategically go from there. Because I told you all before, look, you've been hammering down with me, a lot of you that are watching and following me for the last almost 5 years now. I'm going to give you a couple months off. The holidays, enjoy them. Because in January in 2025, you're going to see my butt on fire again to make sure that I fulfill my vow in the state of Michigan is to take back this state and making sure that all of you have a say in that. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to take back this state, the state of Michigan, here in the next election cycle. And it's going to take all of us to do just that. And that's where our focus has to be. Getting the right people to run, supporting the right people that are going to run, making sure that they're going to bring a lot to the table with depth. I'm looking for an executive this time around, not a social media influencer, not a journalist, right? I want an executive who has a past, who has a history of running and building successful businesses, because that's what we need in office. That's why I'm such a huge fan of President Trump. And that's what we need in the state of Michigan. The social media influencer is not going to be running. Nope, not doing it. Not going to split up that ticket again. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I'm throwing my support behind the person who I believe that can get this state back to win in the primary and in the general, represent us, represent the Constitution, and is a business person who can bring Michigan out of the hole that these folks have put us in. But not only that, I firmly believe, and I said this on my previous run, that we should be the powerhouse of the nation. We can do it. It's going to take all of us, but we can do it. I'm going to leave with you with a funny video that's, I don't know who made this, but it's genius. I shared it on my platforms yesterday. And I laughed just thinking about it. So enjoy this little video because I think it's pure gold. Oh my gosh, I don't know why, but I think that is just the greatest thing since sliced bread. Okay. For those of you who are not obviously watching the video that I just posted, that you're listening in the podcast, there's a young man pushing a garbage can and the wind kept flapping him in the face. And the caption was that pro-Trump supporter is assaulted 11-year-old boy, or some boy, see on News 11 at 9, I think it said. But great video, funny video. If you want to watch it, go on my platforms. It made me smile. So vote. Bring your friends, your family, your neighbors. Get them to vote. Show up. And I'll see you next week after the election. Unless something catastrophic happens, I got to get on. Hopefully not. But get out and vote, folks. And Jocelyn Benson, do us all a favor. Resign. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States. Until next time.